Well, this morning, as we continue to celebrate the 50th anniversary of the passage of Title IX, today we wanted to take a closer look at how that Title IX has impacted the sport of sailing.
In 1995, the world of sailing was rocked when a nearly all-women's team labeled America Cubed competed in the America's Cup, the world's oldest competition still operating in any sport. At the time, the competition had little to no female representation since its first race in 1851. And in the 90s, the idea of an all-female team was heavily scrutinized. Our next guest was a member of that 1995 America Cubed team and has sailed with 100 teams over the last 30 years, all while winning 2 world championships in the sport of sailing. Joining us now is Linda Lindquist-Bishop, world champion sailor and founder of Courageous Thinking, a business consulting company. Linda, welcome to Morning Rush. Thank you for being here.
Good morning. It's great to be here.
Absolutely. Well, tell us about being part of that historic all-women sailing team back in '95. What did that mean to you personally, and what message did you and the rest of the team kind of send to the world in that moment?
Well, it was really something that I never envisioned would be possible. It really was just a unicorn that occurred because Bill Koch, who won the Cup in 1992, decided instead of bringing back the men's team to defend, he was going to take a big risk and put an all-women's team together. And for that, I'll be forever grateful. The skepticism was massive. In 1994, in November, we had a world championship before the America's Cup with all the teams, and the press came out not to see how we would perform, but because people didn't believe we'd even be able to get the sails up and down and tack the boat. And instead, we went out and beat Dennis Conner, the multiple winner of the America's Cup, and took second in the event. That was a game changer.
So were there words that you could say on TV that you said after you won that? Because I'm imagining myself and maybe some things that I would say.
Yeah, there are definitely some bleeps that might have been in there, but there's a great picture of us all on the boat, standing up, hugging, arms in the air, cheering, because we knew we weren't doing it just for ourselves. I mean, we came into our compound, which is where the boats were. We had this incredible gym facility, our sail lofts. There were 120 people on our campaign, 27 of us women who were sailing. But it took a huge support structure to make that happen, and they were men and women. But every day we came into the compound, we came into our gym, and lining the walls were letters, posters, pictures from girls and women all over the world that said things like, "You can do it, beat the boys, you're doing it for us." I think by the time we finished the Cup, there were big cross beams that held up the walls of the gym, and they were lined literally with hundreds of dozens of roses that we were drying and hanging, just to motivate us every morning that this was so much bigger than just for ourselves.
Wow.
And like other sports, sailing certainly dominated by men. Has that gotten better? And do you take at least partial credit for that?
Well, as every woman, I think, person that gets to achieve something in the world, you have to admit you're always standing on the shoulders of someone that came before you. So we certainly did, specifically Don Riley, who made the men's team in '92. I think that gave Bill confidence that he could put a women's team together. It was a bumpy road after America Cube. For instance, in the last and the upcoming America's Cup, there will be no women sailors on the team. That said, the sport overall has progressed tremendously. We have 9 disciplines in our Olympic sailing, and now over half of those are women's and mixed genders. The #1 professional sailing circuit in the world, SailGP, now has women on every team, has mentoring programs, and this is really incredible, and that's translating all the way down through the sport. And this gives me great hope. Even in Newport, at our yacht club there, we have a new class of 37-foot boats, and they mandated that a woman has to be on every boat. If you have 2 women, you have some advantage, and we have 5 on our boat.
Wow.
So I've never seen so many women on the dock, especially in the what we call the big boat arena, which are these big sailboats versus the other track in our sport, which is the small single and double hand Olympic path. So there's exciting progress. There's always room for more, but the needle is definitely moving.
It's so interesting to watch all this video playing as you're talking too, because I personally don't know what it takes to do what you do and to do it at such a high level. But what do you think needs to be done to maybe meet women and younger girls kind of where they are to even get involved in the first place? Because this is something that I would never have been involved in. You know, I grew up in New Jersey and I did, you know, tennis and totally other worlds. Younger girls into something like this, do you think?
That's a great question, and it's very exciting. In our national governing body, U.S. Sailing, we have, believe it or not, there's over 10,000 community sailing centers around the country. These aren't private yacht clubs. These are affiliated with park districts and camps and so forth. And through a generous donation of the Siebel family, we are building an even stronger network of that community sailing, really to create access and opportunity specifically into people groups that haven't had access to the sport. So the grassroots part of this equation is very important. And then looking up the entire trajectory of the sport. I mentioned the Olympics, the IOC, and the world has said more women in sport, which is fantastic. Title IX was, I would say, the driver for the world in us increasing girls and women's opportunity for participation. And then as these big boat teams see their success, and they are creating access and opportunity. So a lot more work to be done.
You mentioned Title IX a second ago, and that's obviously we're celebrating that here this week, the 50th anniversary. It really was a game changer. It has opened up the world for countless women. What did it play a role in your life, or at least what would you tell younger women, like, hey, you got to understand the power of this law, because things were very different 51 years ago before Title IX was in place. When you think of Title IX, what do you think of? What's it mean to you personally?
Yeah, Title IX, in order for women to participate in sports, we use an acronym called C. Probably no irony because it's water-based, but so there's 3 letters. S is that a girl has to be able to see or she can't be. That's true of anyone. So the role models are really important. Like the role models, mine were mostly peers, because we didn't have a lot of women that were excelling in these elite areas in sports. So Dawn Riley, I mentioned, Billie Jean King, her breakthrough, the women breaking through in other sports. So you have to see or you can't be. The second is you have to be good. You can't just be a woman and get to play and be excellent. You have to do the time and the experience and the coaching, so that seeing, getting the vision. But the third is really the game changer you asked about, and that's access. If people don't create access, if our sport doesn't create access, for me, it was men that took a risk on me. And those men allowed me to sail on their boats. They invited me to compete in, world-class races where I was the only woman, and they gave me access. So we have to look all across the board. Where can we create access for girls and women at the entry level, at the development level, and at the elite competition level?
Man, it has been such an honor to speak to you, and it's been really cool.
And where there's not access, sometimes you bust the door down yourself.
Yes.
But your point about access
you
is well
kick it
taken.
wide open.
Yeah.
Linda Lindquist-Bishop, world champion sailor, founder of Courageous Thinking. Thank you so much for giving us some time and sharing your story with us. We really appreciate it.
Oh, it's been an honor to be here. Thank you for what you're doing and spreading the word.
Absolutely, absolutely. And you mentioned how hard sailing looks.
Oh my gosh.
I think that video today looks difficult.
My shoulder, my rotator cuff, I saw a lot of this.
That's why I'm more of a lazy river kind of guy.
Oh, yes.
Lazy river. That's it.